I welcome you all. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kanish Jamkar. In this examination, UPSC 2023, I have secured a 614 rank, and I'm here today to help you clear your doubts with respect to how to prepare for the next 30 days. Will be the first part of the session. In the second session, we will talk about strategy for 2025. And in the last part of the session, we will discuss any queries that you have sent that I have already listed. So I hope you stay till the end and you find it beneficial. So let's start with the current one because hardly 1 month to go for the prelims and we have a lot of things to cover. So I'll be a bit fast. In the meantime, I'll give you a minute to have a pen and a paper so that we can keep things ready, handy, and as well as write down if anything important comes up. I'll just give you a minute to arrange for that, and let me know in the comment section when you are ready. Okay, I'm receiving messages of being ready. So let's discuss with the strategy 2024. 1 month to go for prelims, and we are here. So first of all, the exam is in its last 30 days. I hope English is fine with everyone, or any other language that I need to be. Okay, so English is fine enough. Okay, strategy for the last 30 days. I'm assuming at this point of time that you have finished at least your NCRTs well and good. You have given a few papers, full length papers as well as sectional papers. And at this point of time, you have covered everything that is supposed to be in the static part. Because 1 month is left and you cannot go ahead and start reading static now. All that is left is that you should try and understand to cover the concepts, the recent concepts, the current affairs, as well as a higher revision practice now. So let's start off with polity. I believe the sources that you must refer in the last month are three. One is the PRS India. Any such new scheme, any such new law that has been proposed or passed by the government of India has to be read in detail. So PRS India is a good source for that. Secondly, elections are going on. So I 100% expect a question based on elections, RPA 1950, RPA 1951. Powers of Election Commission is another thing that 100% can be asked by UPSC. So make sure that you are on point with respect to these topics. Okay. So next point that would be PYQs. You cannot miss out PYQs here. If you're missing out PYQs, I believe you're missing out what UPSC certainly asks these days. If you'll go back in the 1990s papers, you will see that there were questions with respect to assertion and reasoning, something that came up very recently in 2023 and not before that. Fortunately, I had practiced 1990 questions so vehemently that I could answer assertion and reasoning during my 2023 attempt. So I would request you all to go through all the PYQs since 1991. 1991 to 2023, you have a bunch of questions from polity which will help you realize and understand what exactly needs to be solved. So make sure that in the last month, you do not go back to your mocks, you do not go to any of the test series from the classes, but you stick to PYQs and you solve them with respect to whatever current affairs are going on in the current news. So considering that elections are going on, powers of the election commission, powers of the returning officer, powers of the district collector, the code of conduct, all of these small things needs to be understood. Because question, if it comes, it will come from these areas itself. And a max revision time period of 4 to 5 days with Lakshmikant. If you follow Vision or Insight, one of their final magazines like PT365, PRS India, and PYQs. These are the maximum things that you can do in the last 1 week of polity. Why polity first is because we on an occasions have 15 to 20 questions from polity. This will help you cover at least 30 marks of preparation. Even if you have a hit ratio of 80% for the 2024 attempt, you can still score right here with an 80% attempt over 30 marks, 25 to 30 marks, which is a healthy score. Considering the cutoffs, which last year ranged around 75 and below, I think focusing subject base is one of the best ways to go. So polity is the initial phase. Within max 7 days, you have to finish the revision on the said sources. Make sure that you follow the guidelines of UPSC and not make up your own. The syllabus has to be your guideline. And if you do not look at the syllabus, then the problem is with respect to your preparation. UPSC's demand and your preparations need have to be in coherence. If it's not meeting your preparation, your hard work will always be seen as a failure. Okay. The first and foremost example of studying for 8 to 10 hours and not getting reliability in your solution is with respect to not studying as per the needs of UPSC. So PYQs is the basis as a answer point, as a see-through point for you to understand where your preparation is. Second subject that you have to start is economy. I'm pretty sure that majority of you are read Brunal, secondly I think Sanjeev Verma or Tata McGraw-Hill's textbooks. So any of the textbooks are okay, but in 5 days you cannot cover Brunal, neither can you cover any other textbook that is possible. So I will list down 4-5 chapters for you that you have to read in the last 5 days and make sure that you read them properly. If you're able to read them properly, there is a good possibility that you will be able to answer at least 40 to 50% of the questions and attempt them properly. So go ahead, write it down. One is RBI monetary policy that needs to be studied in the last 5 days. RBI monetary policy. After that, budget taxation. After budget taxation, currency exchange, GDP calculations and inflations, and poverty estimation. Along with this, I need you to revise economic survey and PYQs. This revision for economy can go up to 5 to 6 days. Polity 5 to 6 days, economy 5 to 6 days. So again, we are having a targeted approach. There are 15 to 20 questions of polity. There are 15 to 20 questions of economy. So right here, your 40 questions are done. Even if you have a hit ratio of 80% here, you're very close to clearing the cutoff. PYQs for last 20 years, I would say. For polity, I started off from last year. I did a revision from 1991 PYQs. Okay, next we head on to the environment. Environment, again 5 to 6 days of revision associated with PYQs. Start off with PYQs and your conventions, the current conventions. Make sure your conventions are right there, because every sort of summit, every sort of publication, any type of calculation has to be done with respect to the conventions in environment. Jamkar IAS or PMF only to be read with respect to topics such as what is niche, what do you understand by ecosystem. This is the revision that you will be doing from the main textbooks. Other than that, you can use those textbooks for maps with respect to India, maps with respect to the rivers, the forests, reserved areas, the flora and fauna, wetlands, drainage, viruses and diseases, invasive species, etc. Again, environment has 15 to 20 questions. So 15 to 20 questions, again, you reach a calculation of 55 to 60 questions, which is an approximate attempt of 120 marks. And even if you have a scoring ratio of 70 to 80%, you are clearing the cutoff within these 3 subjects itself. The rest of the topics that we will be covering, they all will be based upon making sure that you are certain of clearing GS. These are the 3 subjects that will help you clear the cutoff, and the other 3 subjects will make sure that you are 100% clearing the prelims cutoff. A special focus with respect to wetlands, rivers, conventions, forests, reserved areas in India, laws of India, flora and fauna in news, invasive species, viruses and diseases associated. So make sure these are the, in whatever last 2 years, anything that has come in news with respect to this has to be revised. So I would suggest PYQs, PT365 of Vision or any other institution which has a compilation, and selected reading from PMF or Jamkar IAS. Okay. This again goes for 5 to 6 days. So we have finished over 20 to 22 days for these 3 subjects, and we are prepared for over 60 to 70 questions. So the last 3 topics that we have are modern history, ancient and medieval, science and tech, geography and security. So these are not so. We have questions of over total 40 questions from these. So with a hit ratio of 60 to 70% also, you can have over 20 to 25 questions right, which is around 40 to 45 marks, which guarantees you clearing the GS1 paper. So for modern history, make sure you have snippets of summaries of spectrum for each chapter. So behind every chapter in spectrum, there are summaries given So make sure that you revise the summaries again and again so that you have a timeline of modern India. Secondly, in the last 1.5 year, whatever historical news have been there, like for example, Jallianwala Bagh or some other Mahatma Gandhi place that has come into the news, then you have to make sure that you know the historical connection to it as well. So for example, one of the very famous questions that a lot of people fail to realize is who gave the title of Sardar to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and which historical event was it associated with. So if you know the answer, that's great. You can post the answer in the comment box if you know. But if you don't know, then you need to know these small questions, because at the end of the day, UPSC may ask this kind of questions. So in modern India, make sure that you read the summaries to know the events and the timelines that have happened, historical news that has come into the picture recently. Okay, so people in news, historical people in news, then historical places in news, and any of the events which may have completed 100 years or 75 years or 125 years, and the history and the people associated with it can be asked in modern history. If you may have seen last year, they asked about questions with respect to the archaeologists who have unearthed a lot of secrets of India. So make sure that the first chapter of Spectrum is also to be well read. Okay. So I can see already people are answering, but the first answer is wrong, but the second answer is right. Yes. So these are the small details that you need to know, and these are the type of questions that UPSC will ask, where you rightfully feel to go and answer the question, but at the end of the day, when you come back home and you will check the answer key, you will realize your answer is wrong. Okay. So another one is ancient and medieval. Also, do not forget, again, for modern history, you have to solve PYQs again from 1990. Nothing less than that, because the questions, if you'll see, they are on a repeat mode. You cannot create history out of nothing. So the questions are going to repeat over the years, and PYQs is the best source to understand UPSC's language, UPSC's way of asking questions, and UPSC's methodologies of testing what sort of knowledge you have. So PYQs for modern history as well as ancient and medieval has to be done through PYQs. Last 1 month is there. I believe you should refer only and only to PYQs. Do not refer to any other mock tests or any other sources of tests. Just go through all the PYQs over this 25-30 days. You can read culture ka koi compilation, current affairs ke liye. And I think ancient, medieval and modern has to be done through PYQs only. There is no other way of doing these three subjects. For science and tech, refer any of the compilation where the annual compilations are there, and solve PYQs as much as possible. Your entire this month has to be revolving around solving PYQs. For security, science and tech, I will recommend reading PT 365. That much is sufficient. That much knowledge is enough currently for this 1 month. And a total time period for modern, ancient and medieval is around 7 days. So that brings our calculation to somewhere around 25 to 26 days, and you're left with hardly 4. So in that 4 days, you need to prepare for security as well as geography. And while we are doing that, we should not forget that we have to revise what we have read earlier, because the first 3 are most important: polity, economy and environment. So for security, again, PYQs as well as any of the yearly compilations by a good class. For geography, I would recommend you to have 3 things in your hand. Firstly, PYQs, a good atlas, and third is any of the yearly compilations where they have given places in news and events, geographical events in news. Why? Because we need it to understand and connect. If you have seen the geography questions, they ask places in news which have been extremely in news. Like, even if you see it 5-6 times, you can go ahead and you can answer these questions. Last year they asked neighboring countries of some Central Asian region, then some rivers from Africa, and some cobalt region from Africa as well as Latin America. So this kind of questions are coming. So you have to focus places in news, African territory, Latin American, Central Asian nations. These are the territories that you need to focus right away. Also, you need to know any conventions that have been recently signed, PYQs, Atlas, as well as monthly compilations. Then NCERT you have to revise only the concepts, the basic concepts. Say, for example, human geography, population, demography. Then in regular geography, you need to know volcanoes, tsunamis, rivers, the drainage, rift valleys, then stagllicites, staglamites, Indian reserves, landforms, water divide. So these concepts have to be clear. Indian monsoons, La Nina, El Nino, IOD. These are the things that you need to revise because questions are going to be here. Okay, one or the other topic will be coming, and you should be thorough with the concept because geography is more concept oriented. If you know the concept, you can apply and you can get the answer right. Do we have any doubt as of now? Because then I will start reciting some topics that you need to know, and if you know them, you will understand how much preparation you have. Only with respect to this last 1 month. Okay, for CSAT I'll cover in a bit. CSAT I'll cover right after I finish the GS1. Okay, so I'm going to list some topics over here, and if you know them, then that's great. Try to list down all the topics that I'm talking about and try to tick or cross the topics that you don't know, so that you realize how much you know, how much your preparation is. If you know at least 60 to 70% of the topics that I'm about to speak, then your preparation is at the right mark and you should be confident about clearing this GS1 paper. But if you know about 40 to 50%, you are very much on the edge. Make sure that you prepare even harder in the last 30 days so that you have a very good chance of clearing. These topics have been in the news, so there is nothing to be worried about if you don't know and if your attempt is for 2025. But if your attempt is for 2024 and you know 50% plus topics, then you are in a right track. Keep studying, keep practicing, and there is a good chance that you will clear. So you can write the topics as I speak if you need to. Konark Wheel, Edakal Caves, Sacred Ensembles of Hoysalas, Washington Declaration, the concept of enemy property, Uttara Merur inscription, Gram Manchitra. I'll repeat: Konark Wheel, Edakal Caves, Sacred Ensembles of Hoysala, the concept of enemy property, Washington Declaration, Uttara Merur inscription, Gram Manchitra, Sanctions Committee of the United Nations Security Council, UNSC, 30 years of Project Elephant, Mike, MIKE. The third one is Edakal Caves, Sanctions Committee of UNSC, 30 years of Project Elephant, Mike, Meerkat Telescope, Article 371F, along with the entire Article 371, the concept of Dabba trading, along with all the trading attributes, because last year there was a question with respect to alpha and beta. There was a question about beta. So you need to know the concepts of trading. Then INA dashboard, Digital Public Infrastructure and India Stack, Silkworm Eating Strategy, Sarna Code, Sarna, S-A-R-N-A, Sarna's Code, INS Sagar Dhwani. So if you know at least 50% and above of these topics, then your preparation is going in the right direction. There are a few more places in news: Uzbekistan, Cuba, Coco Islands, Maitri Super Thermal Power Plant, Yubinas Volcano, Alexandria Port, 9-Dash Line, Batagaika Crater, Nagorno-Karabakh, Hemis Monastery. Some more meetings and summits that you should know about for this attempt: Global Buddhist Summit, First Global Buddhist Summit, G20, SCO Summit, NATO Summit, BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Meet, Quad Summit 2023, UN Democracy Fund, and Sudan Crisis. So these are the few of the international relations or international conventions that you need to know, or meetings that have occurred. Some concepts in economics and trade, digital infrastructure, digital public infrastructure, and India Stack. That's what I had said. Okay, so coming back to it. Okay, economics related, some foreign trade policy 2023. Make sure you read them. You Google them, you read them. Bond yields, yield inversion, operation twist. Bond yield, yield inversion, operation twist. GST, constitutional position of GST, rules and regulations of GST, the role of GST Council, and changes in the GST currently which have taken place. PLI scheme, India's gold reserve, SWIFT keys, India's remittances, inflows, the schemes with respect to energy. Energy is one of the prime questions that UPSC looks forward at. Okay, with respect to science and technology, Chandrayaan 3, Blue Hole, LIGO India project, electromagnetic ion cyclotron waves, electromagnetic ion cyclotron waves, Foucault pendulum, human genome project, seed bank, dark patterns, pulsars, nebula, solar winds, dwarf stars, white dwarf. These are all space related questions which usually come. Black hole, Higgs boson particle, RNA versus DNA, RNA vaccines, vector-based vaccines, the differences between them. There's something called as Kavach in railways. So what exactly it is? Then specifically with respect to India, Mission Vatsalya scheme. Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi ordinance. Then what are the powers of ordinance? Can an ordinance make a constitutional amendment? Is it possible for the central government to amend the constitution by simply making an ordinance? Then National Medical Commission. It's in news recently with respect to the Patanjali case, National Medical Commission. Then the powers of the commission, the members of the commission, appointment of the National Medical Commission members, Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC, FEMA Act. What is the concept of universal basic income? What is anemia? And what is India's policy with respect to anemia? One of the questions that I expect to see is what is the chemical used in the ink of the election? Which is the company which produces this ink? What is the chemical solution that is used? If you can answer, go ahead, type it in the chat box. Which company publishes it? There's a name to it, not just indelible. There is a chemical name to it. If you don't know, go ahead, Google it. Silver nitrate, that is right. And how does it turn blue and it stays constant? There is a reason for that too. UPSC might simply ask, how does it oxidize by what? So all these things I do share on my Telegram channel. It's by my name only. You can have a look. On the Telegram, I run a channel by my name, Kanishk Jamkar. Over there, you can join. I put these kind of things over there, and that will be a direct connect point between you and me, because I do answer queries over there. So make sure that you follow me at my channel. Any idea which company manufactures the ink? No, it is not CSIR. And the company is under which ministry? Because there was a point of time when this kind of questions have come. What is the name of the company and which ministry it is under? If anyone can answer in the chat box, I'll wait for another minute. Mysore Paints, yes. And it's under which ministry? It's under which ministry? No, it's not under Science and Tech. No, it's not under Commerce and Industry. I've asked this question on my group. Make sure you join my group because I keep it interactive. I always post something or the other that I like. No, it's not by Security Printing and Mining Industry. You will be shocked to know the answer. No, it's not of department. The answer to that question is it's a PSU under the government of Karnataka. It's not even under the government of India. It's a PSU under government of Karnataka. So if this kind of a question comes up in the UPSC, we are going to go for the central industries. So make sure that you select, you know the facts and you tick the answer. Because if we just simply go and tick something that works on the gut, we are going to get negative. So we have discussed about how to attempt 60 to 65 questions at a good way, like 20 polity, 20 with respect to environment, 20 with respect to economy. So 60 questions are right there. Even with a hit ratio of 80%, you are very close to the cutoff. So make sure do not take unnecessary attempts which will give you extra negatives and you will go below the cutoff zone. Okay, heading to the next part. The POSH Act, POSH Act. We have seen violence in Manipur. It's with respect to the status of scheduled tribes. So we should know the process in which scheduled castes, scheduled tribes are added to the list as well as removed from the list. Not just the addition, but as well as removal. So we should know what are the committees that have been there for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. What is the method of adding a caste to scheduled tribes or scheduled castes, or how the deletion or addition is done. So make sure you know these things. Okay. So these are the important topics that I have listed. Make sure that you study before you go for the paper. If you know 50 to 60% of these questions, that's great. You are very well in track. Don't worry. Answering the paper. Okay, so answering the paper is another thing. Having knowledge about all the topics that we have just discussed is another thing. So I'll be talking about how to solve the paper and how to be calm and composed while answering the sheets. So many times I have seen a lot of people who have the knowledge but fail to get marks because they do not have exam temperament. So exam temperament is with respect to emotional question. In India, we focus a lot about emotional question is not one of the focus. The focus is intelligence question. So here right now, I would talk about the emotional question that you need in the exam hall as well as during the preparation. So the thing is, when you are under pressure, do you succumb to the pressure or you stand strong is directly based upon how you're emotionally reliable, how you're emotionally strong. So firstly, one of the best ways to be emotionally strong is to be in the environment again and again. So what am I exactly saying? I want you to write full-length tests every other day, in weekly, twice or thrice in an exam environment. At the time when the final exam is going to happen. Say for example, the GS1 is 9 to 11. I would want you to write every week at least 2 papers at 9 to 11 in an exam format. Sit amongst the aspirants, go to a library or go to a exam hall and write the paper. This will help you get normalization. This will help your mind to understand that this is just another paper. And over the period of time, you will have exam temperament, exam composure that you need. Secondly, I would recommend to solve papers which give you a bit of shock and awe. Pick up any random paper, say 2011 paper or 2021 paper, which you have not even studied or read. Just go solve it and then try to check your marks. If there are current based questions, okay, fine, you can skip them. But over here, the marks is not the strategy. The strategy is about having maximum potential of scoring maximum with respect to the questions that you know. So your hit ratio, your accuracy ratio has to be calculated. So assuming that there are 25 questions based on the current affairs of some old paper, say for 2020, and those current affairs are no more reliable and they have changed. So make sure you solve those 80 questions and try to see if you're able to fetch 70 to 75% of the marks with least minimum negatives. Secondly, to maintain composure, to maintain temperament, the one thing that I do is yoga and meditation. So make sure that for the next 1 month, you inculcate a habit of meditation as well as you involve a habit of yoga or play any sport for that matter. If you're playing any sport, your mental stability increases, your logical reasoning as well as your temperament builds up because you're boosting a lot of oxygen and blood to your brain. So make sure you pick up some sport or you go for walks or you do yoga in this entire month. Thirdly, just don't keep repeating to yourself that I have an exam in just 1 month, I have an exam in 1 month and I need to cover stuff. What this is going to do is it's going to put unnecessary pressure on you. And that unnecessary pressure is not something that you need right now. In this 1 month, you have to be as calm and composed as possible. So make sure that you push forth and you have adequate amount of rest, adequate amount of stress release, where you hang around with your friends or you have time with your family, listen to music or de-stress as you wish. But make sure that you study at least 10 to 12 hours in this month. Because this time is where everything that you read will be remembered in the exam hall. Okay, consistency in this 1 month will help you clear prelims. Secondly, how to go for the paper. There are multiple ways, there is no one such way. But one of the things that I have always told myself is that if you cannot solve some question in one go, or you cannot solve this question within a minute or half a minute, then that question you cannot attempt even after 1.5 hours. Sometimes what happens is you read some questions, say assume I have solved question number 10, but I'm not able to reach the answer. So I will try to solve it, couldn't solve it, so I'll go till the 100 and come back, and then I'll realize, oh, I remember reading something from here. But that's something you don't recollect that you have just read, and your brain is thinking that you have read it before. So this happens with a lot of time, with a lot of people. So make sure that if you are going ahead without solving a question, then make sure you don't solve it after coming back either, because no new knowledge you're going to remember in the exam hall. If you don't know, you don't know. If it's a fact-based question, you don't know. You absolutely won't remember anything new about it. It's your mind playing tricks with you. Moreover, the cutoffs are so low that you should target maximum attempt with respect to your accuracy. So attempt of 80 to 85 is also fair enough to clear the examination. There are people who like to do rounds. I was not one of them. I used to solve it in one go. I had a motto for myself that if I cannot solve it in 20 seconds, I will not touch the question. So my attempt in the last year's paper was around 75 to 80, and which is a decent, and I scored pretty decent marks and I cleared the cutoff. So make sure you know how much your accuracy is. If your accuracy is 70 to 75%, you need not take unnecessary risks. Secondly, with respect to prelims, you need to understand that tackling the unknown questions is the more difficult part. So how do we tackle the unknown questions? Firstly, we try to solve it through the options. If we are able to dissect one or two options, that increases the variable chance of our answer to be right. So there is a variable change. The variable change in the probability of the answer getting right. So make sure once you reject, there are four options. Even if you're able to cut down one, the possibility of you getting the answer is higher. The moment you cut down second option, this question has to be attempted because the answer, the variable change is in your favor, and there is a 66% chance that your answer will be right in the next two options. You may say, why not 50? It has to be 50-50 because already there are only two options left, but you're not accounting the variable change. Make sure you account the variable change, and in the last two options that are remaining, your possibility of answer coming right is higher than 50%. It's higher than 60%. So make sure that you account the variable change, and the moment you dissect two options as wrong and you have two options that are remaining right, you have to take the answer. You have to take the answer and you have to move forward. That's how your answers will have higher accuracy and lower negatives. Okay. With respect to we do section wise, I'm sorry, I do not support this idea because UPSC no more provides questions with respect to sections. Neither are they in a continuous format. So one question might be in the top 20, the other might be in top 50, and you will spend and waste time just rotating the pages. So make sure you do not do section wise. You start solving 1 to 100 or 100 to 1 or anything in between and move to the right to the left, but do not go section wise. If you are comfortable doing rounds, go ahead, do rounds. Okay, any more questions with respect to 2024 attempt? Because that's all from my side for the 2024 attempt. Okay. CSAT, I'll do it completely separate. I'm just talking with respect to GS1. Any doubts in GS1 with respect to the 2024 attempt? I'll wait for another minute. Okay. With respect to CSAT, the queries will be answering. Yes, we have to cover other topics. The list that I have given you is a tentative list of important articles or important news. I could just make a list out of quickly. It's just a reference link that I have given you. Okay, with respect to taking the answers, what I used to do is, so that I don't have a change of heart and while I'm rereading the questions again, I used to immediately tick the answers as I go ahead. It worked for me because many a times I have seen that whenever I have changed my answer, 90% of the time the changed answer used to be wrong and the previous answer used to be right. So to avoid that kind of a pitfall, I have always clicked the answer immediately. I have immediately checked the answer. How to be calm the night before? Okay, Amruta, this question is there with a lot of people because at the end of the day, on the D day, on the D night, you have to be very alert. And if you don't get adequate sleep, your exam performance will not be adequate. So first thing, you need to have a sport or a physical activity which will keep you in a regime of sleeping. I would suggest you to have practice meditation over the period of next 1 month so that The night before, you can have a good sleep. Secondly, make sure that you keep your cell phones away while before sleeping, at least 2-3 hours, so that you have a good sleep by 11 or 12. My strategy with respect to the before the exam day used to be that I used to stop studying on the previous day at 6 p.m. At 6 p.m. I used to close books and I used to go out for a walk or start listening to music or anything, and I used to do anything and everything that is not related with UPSC. So that helped me because I used to sleep by around 10:30, and those 4 to 5 hours of normal time used to make me comfortable. So make sure that you study only till the time you need to. 2-3 hours of extra study is not going to help you a lot in the exam hall. So make sure you just limit yourself to 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. and then you close the books. Okay, so with respect to CSAT these days has become tricky, and a lot of people are facing issues with respect to maths as well as English. As well as I have seen your responses, and I have seen the responses as weak and moderate to majority of the people. Very few, hardly 5 to 7% of the replies have been in the form with respect to CSAT being as a strong component of your preparation. So I would suggest for the English comprehension, there are only 2 ways to improve your English comprehension. First and foremost is to start solving PYQs from the year 2011 or 12, whenever the papers were introduced. Start solving comprehensions and start trying to understand what is the essence of the topic. Try to understand the language of UPSC and their requirement. As we have seen in the recent answer key, the answer key had a difference of 10 to 14 questions in all the answer keys between the classes as well as the UPSC. This difference is because of the the difference in the understanding. Your preparation and your understanding of UPSC has to converge so that UPSC's answer key is what goes on in your mind. I have never solved any of the other test series. I have always solved the PYQs of comprehension, because the language of the UPSC has to be the one that you need to be used to. Especially in the last month, make sure that you solve rigorously only the comprehension parts of the PYQs, essentially only for the English comprehensions. So this is one way to go for comprehension. Secondly, you need to read the English newspaper, be it the Hindu or the Indian Express. You need to take out any one paragraph of the topic and make a gist of it after you read it. When you read it, make a gist of it and you ask someone to read it, your friend or your family member. Ask them to read it and try to relate what you have understood from the topic, what gist you have written. This practice will help you to understand that any random paragraph that you take and you understand is already there. I mean, the understanding of these topics is not haywire, and your understanding with respect to the passages is going right. So that writing part is basically to reflect upon your understanding. So these are the 2 ways that you can improve upon comprehension. There is no other way that you can improve comprehension. N number of test series, you cannot do it. Solve the PYQs, read the newspaper, make a gist, share it with someone, ask them to read the gist and ask them questions and try to see if they have understood the topic well. With respect to the logical reasoning, there is a book, R.S. Agarwal. You can solve R.S. Agarwal, that is sufficient, and aid it with PYQs. You don't need to read anything else. You need not go to any other CAD books or any of the other higher level stuff. For reasoning, just go with R.S. Agarwal reasoning book as well as PYQs. For mathematics, it's a different ballgame. If you are an engineer, you are very well equipped to solve mathematics. Make sure that the number systems chapter, the probabilities chapter, and any other chapters such as mensuration from the book called Speed Mathematics by Arihant. That's a good book. Arun Sharma, Mathematics, that's a good book. These are the 2 good books that you can refer to. I'll repeat the book's name, Speed Mathematics by Arihant and Arun Sharma Mathematics. Arun Sharma is the author's name. Arun Sharma Mathematics. These 2 are good books for mathematics. If you are an engineer, make sure that you revise your probability as well as number system. If you're a non-engineering background, make sure you solve these books because your basics needs to be accurate. You need to even have speed. Also, while solving CSAT paper, especially to the engineers, let me suggest you that you keep your ego aside, that I am an engineer and I can solve this question. This is basic level maths. It's not about your ego over there in the exam hall. It's about solving maximum questions in the minimum time. Make sure that you solve as many as questions possible. 50 to 55 questions is the best or the best case scenario as an attempt. If you reach 60, that's brilliant, but 50 to 55 is the best case scenario. Lesser than 50, you are as close to the cutoff as possible. So make sure you touch 50 to 55. But that's not hard and fast. If the paper is like last year, then 40 to 45 to 50 is also a brilliant attempt. I myself had an attempt of 46 questions and I scored over 90 marks, 85 over 90. So make sure that the difficulty level of the paper is also subjective with respect to your attempts. Any more doubts with respect to the CSAT? For both 1 month as well as 2025 strategy attempt. 30 seconds to ask questions. Please type. We have to cover 2025 strategy also. Mahesh, for your problem, I think you should contact UPSC help desk. They will be the best people to assist you. With respect to the form mistake that you have committed, make sure you contact the help desk at UPSC and they will help you. And they may have a solution for you as well. How to cover backlogs? Backlogs basically are with respect to your strategy. Your strategy, your timeline has to be in such a way that you have adequate time to keep some backlog days to cover up. So if you are already having quite a few backlogs, make sure that you figure out which chapters or which questions are important, which topics are important, and try to cover those topics. No need to go and cover the entire backlogs because input-output ratio has to be in coherence. Like for example, if I'm reading an entire PMF book, which is over 1,000 pages, if I'm reading an entire spectrum book, which is around 1,200 pages, but the number of questions that are going to come 4 or 5, out of which I can only solve 1 or 2, then it is not good. Instead, what I can do is I can read few important chapters from those specific books and I can expect 1 or 2 questions to come over there, so that in minimum time I have read minimum chapters, but I have also secured minimum number of questions that are right. The other questions you can always try to attempt, but even if you don't attempt them, you're not at loss, because the remaining time you can study some other topic and you can attempt another 1 or 2 questions and you will be able to cover it. Okay. Where to do rough work, near the question or backside? This is a personal choice. I prefer to do it near the question. In fact, I have a habit of even cancelling the questions right there so that I don't go back and redo the questions. So I immediately cut the question if I don't want to solve it. How to do with international relations topics? Okay, you can read any of the compilations. I personally read, my optional was also PSIR, so I did not have an issue there, but I personally read PT 365 of Vision IAS. How to do active recalling or memorize? Okay, so you can use 2 techniques here, Feynman technique and memory palace. So what is Feynman technique? You basically understand some concept and then you try to explain it in your language to someone else in a very linear way, and then you keep repeating it to yourself so that your basic understanding and your basic recollection is up to mark, and whenever you see it, you are able to recollect it in a right way. Secondly is a memory palace, where you basically close your eyes and you're in a place where you know the area in and out. And say for example, you have been to some place which has n number of rooms, maybe your school or maybe your hostel rooms, and each room has its own subject, and each subject has its own sort of details. So for example, for 17 SDGs, how do you do that? You enter a room and then there are poor children who are not having food. They are sitting over there, so you know there is poverty. They do not have water, so that means they do not have even water. There is no sanitation, there is lack of health care. Then you are associating a partnership to help those people, so that's the 17 SDG of partnership. Life above ground, life below the ground, so you can have a fish pond over there showing life below water. Life above, life on the ground is some animals pictures over there on the wall. So these kind of techniques you can do to revise what sort of things. And you can also do mnemonics, so that can also help you. Like for example, one of the mnemonics is Tariq, with respect to the Central Asian nations that are surrounding the state of Ukraine. So these kind of questions can always be done, and you have to make it for yourself, because if you will learn something that has been done by the topper, you will end up forgetting with respect to what you had done it. So make sure, okay, one more disclaimer that I should give you here is, do not follow any topper blindly. Every topper has his own method of studies. Even they were students like you just few months back. So they have their own methodology of study. For example, I am not someone who can study at night. I prefer to start my study early in the day, and I like to finish it by 10 or maximum 11 at night. So if someone who likes to study at night tries to copy my schedule, then he is in a fix. He at times may not feel great, and his studies will get hampered. Not that I support night studies because your exam is in the daytime, but make sure that you study as per your own needs and requirements. I like to study and I like to scribble while writing, while reading. So that habit has also helped me having a good speed of writing. But someone who just likes to read or watch videos as well as while studying, you can continue to do so. Okay, so I think that answers all our 2024 attempt questions. Let's jump to the queries that you had asked me before I go to the 2025 strategy. So queries that you had listed in your Google Forms, I have listed majority of them were very common. So firstly, the mock marks are good, but UPSC marks are bad. So, okay, firstly, do not compare your mock marks with UPSC, because UPSC's understanding and mock marks understanding is completely different. If you really want to understand how UPSC grades you, then in the last month or over the period of time, just solve PYQs. Try to solve as many PYQs as possible. But in the last month, you have to rely totally on UPSC. I gave over 45 to 50 mocks. My highest is 85 mocks. But I have on an average given 45 to 50 marks, and I'm talking about full length tests. But I've also solved PYQs of UPSC from 1991. Okay, so make sure that your basis is PYQs. Secondary is mock exams. Consistency in studies. Consistency is the key to success. Consistency is even more important than hard work, even more important than patience. If you are consistent, then only your subjects will have a compounding effect. Your knowledge will have a compounding effect. 1 year, 2 years, doesn't matter. Be consistent in your preparation. Tell yourself why you entered the field in the first place. If your friend is covering up more and you need to be consistent, no. It has to be self-driven. You have to be self-motivated. Just because your friend is studying for 10 hours, you need not sit in the library hall. If he may be studying for some X amount of hours, say 8 to 10 hours, and you are able to finish that much amount of study in 4 to 5 hours, why do you want to waste another 5 to 6 hours in the library and get emotionally exhausted? One of my mentors in the earlier time period had said that UPSC is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So make sure that you understand the difference. This is not some exam that you clear one phase and you're done. You have to clear 3 phases, and to clear 3 phases, you need to have a depth of understanding. You need to have the writing ability, as well as you need to have conceptual clarity wherein you can speak your mind. If you're not able to speak what you wish to or what you think, you will score less in interview. If you're not able to write what you understand, you will score less in mains. If you're not able to conceptually clarify and understand what the topic is about, then you will fail in the prelims. So the methodology of testing covers all the attributes. Do not stick to one. Revision of current affairs is one of the questions that repeatedly was asked. One of the best ways to revise current affairs is the newspapers. Every day you have to start the day with newspaper. I used to read the Indian Express as well as the Hindu on a regular basis. I have never missed it. Okay. Secondly, make notes in OneNote or Evernote. Type it subject-wise. If you're typing it subject-wise, you know wherein it needs to go when you're typing it subject-wise. Secondly, there is a micro listing of UPSC topics that you may find from the classes. Even I think it's available in the market or online. So make sure that you go and download that sub-listing of the topics, and you make notes according to those sub-listings. So there is something called as, there are n number of PYQs, but there are limited number of themes. Themes with respect to what I'm talking about. The themes with respect to women, energy, security, then parliament, Constitution of India, amendments. These are themes. So make sure your notes are not based on the topics with respect to PYQs, but with respect to the themes of the sublisted topics. When your sublisted topics are there in your hand, you can surely write more answers or prepare much better because you have a set number of themes that will come across. Okay, PYQs need to be solved year-wise, or I would suggest PYQs should be solved subject-wise. Subject-wise, solve the PYQs because that is much better. Okay, the next is other exams of UPSC. If you're giving them, great. If you're not giving them, it's a personal choice. Make sure that you do not distract yourself from civil services examination. However, in this month, in the 2024 month attempt, I would request everyone who is attempting to attempt the CAPF, the Geoscientist, and the NDA paper. This will help you to gain immense knowledge. CAPF, Geoscientist, as well as the NDA exam, which are held by UPSC again. So you will understand, you will get a clarity of how well you can write a UPSC exam. Time management, make sure you allocate day-to-day targets as well as weekly. Do not go by weekly targets alone. Make sure that you do not count the number of hours that you are solving, but by the objective. So you have to be objective with respect to what number of topics you need to cover today. Strategy was CSAT. I asked simple question, strong, moderate, or weak. So weak in how many segments? That is logical reasoning, maths, as well as English. If you are weak in all three, then make sure you give adequate amount of time, 3 to 4 hours every day to CSAT as well. If you are moderate, then highlight your strengths and work on your weaknesses. So say half an hour for your strength and 1.5 hour for your weakness. If you are strong, make sure that you keep every day 1 hour for your CSAT. You need to have a mindset. You need to be emotionally strong to write the exam. So make sure that you practice meditation. You go ahead, you play some sport. A lot of people have asked me how to cover economy. I think three sources are enough. So PYQs, secondly Mrunal and Sanjeev Verma, and third is any current affairs magazine. How many hours to study? There is no definite hours of preparation. In the lean period, I used to study 6 to 8 hours. As the exam used to come close, I used to switch to 10 to 12 hours of schedule. If I have to list consistency, patience, hard work, and luck, I would say that the most important factor for your success here is consistency and patience. Then comes hard work, and then comes luck. Okay. For long-term retention, have repeated number of revisions. Vivek Singh questions compilation for economics is also good. You can do that, but supplement it with other sources as well. So for example, if you're doing Vivek Singh questions, supplement it with PYQs as well as monthly magazine. Okay, any more questions with respect to queries? These are the queries that you had asked me on in the Google form. I think I have answered almost all of them. If no, then we can head on to the 2025 strategy, because majority of the people who are here are planning to give the attempt in 2025. So it's the month of May, which is almost 50% is over. So daily approach should be study for 8 to 10 hours at least, maximum 12 hours. Read newspaper till the third week. Make sure you read PYQs as well as solve paper at 9 o'clock, 9 to 11 solve paper. Almost every alternate day solve a PYQ paper. Revise in the second half. Solve the paper for CSAT 2 to 4 for every Thursdays and Saturdays. So you have at least 6 papers you solve before the exam. Do not write mocks anymore. Just solve UPSC papers. Like I said, the three I said, CAPF, Geoscientist, and NDA. You will find them on my Telegram channel. Make sure that you join the channel and you download and solve them. So we do PYQs frequently, and we already know the answers. See, it's not about knowing the answers. It's about understanding the language. See, UPSC is not about knowledge test. Sometimes you have to define the idea or devise the idea from the question itself. When you're used to the question's language, the probability of you getting the answer increases. So make sure that you just don't limit yourself. Just because you have read it does not mean that you can go ahead and you can know. Okay, keep revising the PYQs. Try to understand the language, what sort of language they have changed over there. That will help you understand. Revision of mocks, okay, you can do that, but make sure that mocks is not the basis the PYQs are. Mocks are only for current affairs revision, and conceptual clarity here and there, but that can be done even through PYQs. Okay, so let's start with the 2025 strategy. The number of people who are here for 2025 strategy can just say something on the chat box, so I know how many people are there for the 2025 strategy. And in the meantime, if anyone else has a question, make sure you ping me with respect to any other doubts. Okay, fine. Quite many of them are for the last 2025 strategy. This will be the last thing that we'll be talking about. Then I'll take your queries in. Okay. So majority of you must be having social sciences as your optional, and very few of them will have physics, maths, chemistry, or any other technical subject. So make sure mid-May to June. So let's start off. So assuming that you're going to start by tomorrow or by the start of June, we are going to start off with the optional subject, wherein the first task is source listing of the sources with respect to optional. So this is the first task that you need to do. Can the people who are attempting for 2025 write their optional instead of high? Can they write their optional in the chat box? I'll be quick about this. I know it's already 8 o'clock, 8:30 actually. Sociology, PSIR, socio-chemistry, management. That's good to see a management student. Anthropology, socio-geography. Okay. So very less, I can see a lot of them are social sciences only. Hardly a chemist. I saw one management and one chemistry. Accountancy and commerce. Okay, fine. So first of all, the first and the foremost thing that you need to do is resource listing. And how would you list the sources? First and foremost, you need to find out toppers of your subject who have scored brilliant marks, good marks in their attempt. Okay, for PSIR people, you can have a resource list downloaded from my channel. I have already posted it. I have also posted a resource list for GS, so you can go ahead, join the channel and download that too. So for the others, make sure that you go ahead, check out your subject toppers and the resource list that they have navigated through. Secondly, you need to go through the PYQs, the mains PYQ. Herein, we are talking only about the mains as of now. So resource listing based on your toppers notes as well as toppers answer sheets and their resources. Secondly, try to see what all questions do they ask by PYQs. UPSC asks in the PYQs. Third, refer to IGNOU Masters material. IGNOU is an open source, so make sure you download open sources from IGNOU. PSIR people, I have given everything in my on my channel, so make sure you go and download the file. I have given the links. I have given everything that you need over there. So you need to download master's courses documents from IGNOU, and you will see that a lot of topics are getting repeated word to word from your optional syllabus. Secondly, you can refer to NIOS material as well. Try to understand the PYQ trends and buy the standard reference books. Optional is about more understanding. Depth of understanding needs to be high with respect to optional. The second task that we are going to do in the month of May is start reading NCRTs and start making notes out of them. So this NCRTs is to make you comfortable with the concepts of general studies. Along with this, your day has to start with the newspaper, either the Indian Express or the Hindu. So in the month of May, June, July, August and September, your day has to start with Express or Hindu. The second thing, it has to go towards making notes out of it. In the second session of the studies, you have to start reading your optional reference books. In the third session of the day, you need to start doing PYQs based on the things that you have read. And in the last session of the day, you need to read NCRTs. Okay, 6th to 12th NCRTs for GS. And this has to go on till November end. So what are we supposed to do with respect to optional till November? So you have the month of June, July, August, September, October, November. 6 months are sufficient to finish the optional. 6 months should be sufficient to finish the optional in the first place. Secondly, 6 months are sufficient to make notes and start writing answers with respect to optional. So from November end to December end, so that is December 31st. From 1st of December to December 31st, you need to revise your optional and start writing 3 to 4 answers every day in exam format. This is your question book based on your PYQs. You need not to get the checks again. Okay, I'll tell you the sessions again. Your day has to start with the newspapers, either the Hindu or the Indian Express. In the second session, you need to study your material of IGNOU or any of the other course material that you have with respect to the optional reference books. In the third session, you need to have a look at what you have read and start making notes. Once you have made notes, you need to, in the fourth session, you need to have an analysis of PYQs based on those topics which you have just read. After that, in the last session, you need to revise NCRTs, old as well as new, for GS preparation from 6th to standard 12th. I've put up a PDF on my channel. You can go and have a reference to it. Okay, this will go until November end. From June to November end, that is 6 months. This is supposed to be done. In the month of December, revise your optional and start writing answers. Every day, 5 to 6 questions you have to write in exam format and analyze PYQs along with it. You have to keep writing answers in the month of December, January and February. Why? In the 3 months, you will have an absolute answer booklet, which you will use as a reference during your mains. You need not rush left and right searching for answers or how to write answers or answer keys. You will have your own answer key, which you can refer and which will act as a bank for you, because that will act as a notes bank, it will act as a thinker's bank, and it will also act as a concept bank. So make sure that you write your answers 3 to 5 questions every day from December, Jan and Feb. So think this way, you have over 90 days and you will be writing 5 answers. You have over 500 answers in your hand and you can read them in 1 week before the exam, and you can answer your questions in a explicitly standard way because you have practiced it already. Okay, so this is with respect to the optional. Now coming back to January to March, now we have already finished NCRTs because along with optional we were reading our NCRTs. So from the January 1st, you should start your reference books. That is Lakshmikant, PMF, GC Leong, Economic Survey, PMF IAS, Shankar IAS, whichever books are there as reference books majorly, you can refer to them. In the month of January, February and March, you should be referring to reference books, Lakshmikant, PMF, GC Leong, Economic Survey, Shankar IAS, etc. Along with that, your preparation should have adequate amount of questions. So the questions will be derived from 60% of the mock based questions should be here. So in the Jan, Feb and March month, you should focus more on the mocks and not on the PYQs. So in the month of January, February and March, focus more on mocks. I used to solve 2 types of question papers. Firstly, I used to start my day with a 7 a.m. test, 50 questions test from Forum IAS, and in the afternoon time I used to solve a full length test. So 150 questions per day for me from the month of Jan, Feb and March, and 40% of the questions should be from PYQs. So 60% focus is on the mocks, 40% focus is on PYQs. So looking at that matter, if you're solving a full length test of PYQs, you should solve a full length paper and you should have 30 to 40 questions you should be solving from PYQs. This should go on till Jan, Feb and March, and in that period you should also finish all the reference books. Now we come to the month of April and May, where you need to revise what you have read from NCRTs, the notes that you have taken out. The second is reference books and the notes that you have made. Third, there is a reversal of role here. Now 100% focus should be on PYQs for the month of April and May. Now what has happened is, now you're revising entire knowledge that you have gained over the period of last 8 to 9 months. Secondly, you are revising all your reference books. You're revising your current affairs compilations. You're revising your newspaper notes. And based on that knowledge, you're solving papers as well as PYQs. So what will happen is your knowledge will be tested again and again every single day. Okay. So my usual day in the month of April and May used to start at 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and I used to start reading the newspaper. Then 7 to 8 I used to solve 50 questions. Then 9 to 11 I used to sit in exam environment and again solve 100 questions full length test. This is UPSC's previous year's question papers that I used to solve in one day. Say for example 2020, 21, 22, I used to solve them every week, and then I used to go with respect to 100 questions from PYQs. Then I used to solve weekly twice from 2 to 4 p.m. CSAT full length tests. This I used to take from mocks. This is not something that I used to do with respect to PYQs, but the English part I used to solve from PYQs. So reasoning and mathematics I used to do from CSAT tests, but the English part I used to do from PYQ papers, previous year's question papers. Then I used to revise for the rest of the day, my revision of my notes, then answer keys that I may have gone wrong with, and PT365 magazine along with my written notes. There's one more thing that you can do in the last 2 months is basically refer to Sudarshan Lodha sir's target 140 plus. I'll repeat, in the last 2 months, you can refer to Sudarshan Lodha sir's target 140 plus sessions, which give a very good feedback with respect to the current affairs. And along with that, you need to solve PYQs daily, 1 or 2 hours. Make sure that this type of consistency is there where you don't move out of your schedule. Then a lot of people ask me, sir, how do we keep consistency? Make sure that you have cheat days. Like for example, it's not like I switched off my Netflix or I switched off my TV or gaming or anything. I have made sure that half an hour or 45 minutes I have dedicated every day to de-stressing myself by watching some series or playing some sport or watching any game. And early morning yoga was a necessity for me. So make sure that you have some kind of this activity so that you feel better. It's a long time you will have to do this again and again. You will have to do this every single morning. You have to do this. It's not like you study for 4 days at 10 to 12 hours and after that you do not study for a week or 4-5 days again. The consistency and compounding effect will help you. In case you come across days when you cannot study at all, then on those specific days, make sure that you read just the newspaper at any point of time. Just read the newspaper. Don't fail to read the newspaper firstly. And secondly, solve 40-50 PYQs. This is sufficient even on a bad day because that day is productive. Move away from the number of hours concept to objective based studies. You have to study smart, okay? You have to study smart and work hard. So you don't have to work hard. You have to study smart with respect to it and then work hard. Because if you're not studying smart, your hard work is going to go waste. And these are the type of notes I used to make. I don't know if you can see it. Just a second, I'll have to blur it. So these are the type of questions I used to make, single paged. Then I used to carry them so that I can read them. Divided the page into 2 and I used to make them quick revision notes. Just single words so that I can revise it wherever possible. And I used to keep them along with me in my bag so that I can read that. So there is a concept of ad hoc preparation that a lot of people don't know. They believe that UPSC has to be studied in the libraries. You have to sit properly with the setup and you have to make sure that you have surrounding with respect to people and the books. But no, the other concept of studies is ad hoc preparation, wherein what happens is for example, you're waiting for your friend and you have gone out for dinner and he's 15 to 20 minutes late. So make sure that you sit there while waiting in the restaurant and you read anything in your phone or iPad or the notes that you have prepared. So this kind of preparation will help you to revise everything consistently, properly. And this will help you in your preparation over a period of time. Okay, so that would be the strategy for 2025. Make sure that there is always, there will always be situations which are out of the hand. Preparation is the task that you can do. Result is not something that is in your hand. So do not get motivated even if it doesn't work for you in the first attempt or the second. Consistency and patience is the key. UPSC is a great leveler. We all have come over here after having good marks during our graduation or during your schooling, and our parents also believe, our friends also believe that we are very knowledgeable and we are one of the best people for UPSC. But UPSC is another nut to crack. So make sure that you do not have any sort of preconceived notions about UPSC. UPSC has its own way of testing people. So if you are an introvert, try to speak. If you are an extrovert, try to sit in a room and study. And if you believe that you have fear of public speaking, then interview is the last phase. So you have to prepare. You cannot change a person's personality in a day. So make sure these kind of attributes you keep changing slowly. Okay, that's all from my side from 2025 strategy, the queries and strategy for 2024 prelims, which is another 1 month. I'll take your questions now. So make sure that you ask them because or else I'll be available on my Telegram if you are a member of that. Please ask me your questions in the chat box. I'll answer them. Or you can ask here as well by unmuting. What was my why for UPSC? Okay, I believe firstly I was not satisfied with the private job I was working with Deloitte, Deloitte Haas and Selling, and I was not satisfied with the work that I was doing. I thought that my true calling was in public service. Secondly, I had an environment at my house with respect to civil services. My father, he himself is a former bureaucrat. So over the period of time, even I had a leaning towards UPSC. So that was my why for public service. Most importantly, because I believe I can contribute to the society in a much better fashion than frankly working in the private sector. At one point of time, yes, I was working as well as studying. So at one point of time, I had both job as well as I was preparing. But later, in the last this attempt, I took an extended leave and I prepared, and then I resigned also in the middle, and I kept studying for the services. Anything with respect to the exam strategy, anything with respect to, any views on MPSC new pattern? I think MPSC new pattern is good for as a change because it will make sure that there is parity between UPSC and MPSC. So I think it's a good welcome move, but then a lot of aspirants are having difficulty in switching from the current scenario to the next. Although I'm not very sure of MPSC because I never gave the exam. Newspaper, it takes 3 hours of highlighted content only to read, and then make sure that you don't read any newspaper, a single newspaper for more than 2 hours. Because reading a newspaper for 3 hours or more, you have 8 to 10 hours in a day to study on a regular basis. And if you're giving 3 hours to a newspaper, then I don't see how you're going to study other things in every session. So make sure that you study the newspaper in 2. My best time has always been around 1 hour 10 minutes, 1 hour 20 minutes. But if you can finish it in 2, that's great. But make sure before that, you make sure that you learn all the micro listings. You have a clear understanding of all micro-listed subjects of UPSC. The syllabus, micro-listed syllabus PDFs are available online. Maybe even Reliable IAS has it, or any of the other ones in the market. You can go and download, and you have a clear understanding of the topics that are covered by UPSC in the micro-listings. And when you read the newspaper, you should be able to highlight which topic it is and which question paper it is related to. Because if you will see, the topics, the themes of the topics are never in a silo. If some topic is being covered in GS1, it will also be covered in GS2, GS3, GS4, and your optional maybe. So make sure that you have your micro listing topics handy. I am reading newspaper for 1 hour. Reading newspaper in time bound limit is person to person, but 3 hours is too much. That's why I said try to cover it in 2. If you're finishing it in 1, that's great, but don't miss out anything. And make notes in the remaining of the time. Which section in newspaper? I can tell you what to avoid. I cannot tell you what is very important. Almost everything is important. Say, for example, the explained page, the science and technology page in the Hindu, the explained page of the Indian Express. The sports page nowadays, UPSC asks a lot of questions. Like, for example, we have a candidates tournament coming up for the chess. They might ask you, what are the rules and regulations? What is NRR with respect to cricket? This kind of concepts UPSC is asking nowadays. So make sure that you don't leave anything in the newspaper other than the city news. No need to read the city news, firstly. Secondly, do not read the masala news. So what do I mean when I say masala news? It means the party politics. You don't need to read the party politics. Unnecessary. So make sure that you stick to your necessities with respect to the micro listings and the needs of the UPSC examination. 2 subjects GS per day or single. It's personal preference. I used to read 2 because if I keep reading 1, then I used to get bored of it. If you are preparing in Marathi, then go ahead. That's fine. I mean, I have seen a lot of selected officers who had mains language as Marathi. They used to write all the papers, GS, essay, everything in Marathi. Go ahead. It's a good way of preparation. There is no downside to it. What can be the daily schedule who are in their last year college prep? So college prep, that means you're going to give 2025 attempt. You can follow the 2025 strategy. Start with your optional, finish your optional as well as the NCRTs till the month of November. In the December, do the answer writing. And from January onwards, make sure that you start solving question papers, mocks, PYQs, as well as refer to current affairs. And if you have college in the daytime, make sure that you give 3 to 4 hours of studies every day, which includes quick cursory reading of newspapers and optional. That has to be done. Newspaper cannot be negated by anyone, be it prelims, mains or interview. Anything else? Or else we can call it, because it's already 8:50. We started at 9 sorry, 710 or 715. IAAS has the same syllabus. There is no difference in it. So it's based on your ranking that you can get IAAS. So when I was working full time, I used to start my day at 4:30 in the morning. I used to study till 8:30 because I had to go to the office at 9:30. So you can start off your day at 4:30, study for 4 hours till 8:30, go to the office, reach by 9:30, whatever your timings are. After you come back from the office, I used to read the newspaper after I used to come back from the office. So that used to be a lighter reading because I used to be tired after the office. So around 9 to 11, I used to read the newspaper. 11 o'clock, I used to sleep. So that can be a schedule that you can follow. You can have your own schedule if your office is at the night time.
Students, if you have any questions, we'll take last 1 or 2. I think we have discussed a lot of things in this 2 hours, and Kanishk has been a very insightful personality to have been taking and enriching us on various points. If you have any last 2 questions, we'll see if any questions are coming, or else we'll call it a day, and we'll wait for 1 minute and then we can start. Okay.
Yeah. So for all the students who are here right now, please make sure that you, if you need to be in touch with me, make sure you follow the Telegram channel. I am only available on 2 social media networks, so you can ping me any of it. So one is Telegram, where the channel is dedicated to aspirants itself, and the other one is Instagram with the same name again. So you can text me either of them. I will reply to you with respect to your questions. So either you can follow me on the Telegram channel or you can follow me on the Instagram channel. I will surely reply to you over there. So last 2 questions, as Rajnikant sir has said.
Okay, fine. I think there are no more questions. Kanish, I once again thank you for your insightful knowledge about everything that you have shared. And I'm very sure that our students here are very, very much enriched, who are giving 2024 ka attempt also and 2025 ka attempt also. I am hoping that you'll always be connected with our students, and I'll be in connected with, we all will be in connection with you. And if you like to say anything last words to anyone, and then we can conclude the meeting.
Yeah, I can see there is one last query that has come. History, dateline, how to remember. Okay, you can, what I did was, one of the simplest tasks that I did was I took the spectrum and I took all the summaries which had the timeline, and I made sure I made just one single PDF of 10-15 pages. And that was my timeline for modern. For ancient and medieval, there are booklets available in the market with respect to the timelines, which are huge, and they give all sort of data with respect to the timelines. So you can download anyone, no need to search by yourself or make it by yourself. I'll share my notes, some parts of my notes over there on my channel. So make sure that you follow, then you will understand what I'm trying to say with respect to the notes and how to make notes. You will be able to find it useful. So lastly, one last thing to all the aspirants here, that make sure that you make notes. If you're not making notes, it's not going to help you. I had made extensive notes over the period of last 3-4 years, and those notes are the only thing that helped me survive through the examination and its huge vastness of knowledge. If you make your own notes, then and then only you can clear UPSC, because firstly, if you're referring to any toppers' notes, then toppers usually what they do is, for example, if I know something to 100%, I'm not going to write it in my notes. I know it by heart, so I'm not going to write it in my notes. But the things that I may forget, I'm going to write it in my notes. So if you read my notes, you're going to get the derivative in knowledge that I have written. So make sure that you refer to toppers' notes on how they have made it, not treat it like a Bible. It has to be your only how to reference, how to make your own notes, but not the final notes to refer to. Okay, so make sure that you make your own notes, prepare your own notes, maybe in typed or written format, but make sure that you write your notes. Okay, that's all from my side. And thank you, Reliable IAS, for such a brilliant opportunity to interact with all the people over here. We had a lot of attendance today. And thank you so much, all of you, for attending this session. I hope I was able to do justice to your time. And I will surely like to know more from you through the other sources that I have referred to you. Okay, thank you so much, Rajnikant. It was brilliant to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kanish. We'll be in connected for future assignments also.
Absolutely.
Like I'm hoping we'll be in touch for every student in our because we are here in Reliable IAS. We have 2-3 types of batches. Those who are preparing for this attempt like for 1 year, and those students who are preparing for like after their 10th, 12th also. So students are here in like 2-3 years in preparation also. We are trying to get them into the topmost ranks. And here at Reliable IAS, we are also taking efforts to make a wholesome student, not from the perspective of clearing UPSC also. The first idea is to clear UPSC, but then the wholesome idea of making them a good citizens also. So we are taking those efforts also. I'll welcome you to Reliable IAS and this journey with us in this future. Thank you so much, Kanish. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank
yes.
you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you here for everyone who has been joined and patiently listening for this 2 hours. I'll ensure that if you are dedicated and connected and consistent with whatever Kanishk sir has guided you within this 2 hours, surely you will find some fruitful results. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kanish. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.